Let's now see how we can specify our time zones. We will create new file. Here is the list of time zones which we can use when we are parsing our time or date. Let's now see how we can write parsing for specific time zone. We will create new variable date1 by parsing specific format for specific string. First value in our parse function will be date format. Second value will be date which we want to parse. As you can see, in second value, after writing specific time, we have CET, which means Central European Time. After that, we write adjustments so we can know how much time is going back or further based on that specific time zone. When we print our new variable, we will see output on line 26. After specific time, we have also details about our time zone. Let's do another example. In this case, we created new variable date2. Our function parse has the same format like previous example, but now our second value has different time zone. In this example, we specified that we want to use India Standard Time, and also we wrote that we want to have adjustments with +3 hours. When we print our new variable on line 31, we see that we have changed our time zone. So now we know how to create specific time zone and how to assign specific adjustments to that time zone. Let's now see all the date formats from standard formats which we have. For that, we will create a new file. Here we can see the list of all formats which we can use when we format our time or date. Let's now create new time and execute 4 different formats for one variable. We created new variable t, which is current time, and we printed that variable in 4 different formats. After each printf function, you can see what is the difference for that specific format in comparing with original value of our variable. You can choose whatever you need at specific moment for specific purpose. Probably most of the time you will use RFC 3339 format, but nevertheless it's good to know all the formats which you can use for our date and time data types. We have also standard constants for our timestamps. We will create new file. We can see 4 different formats for our timestamps. Let's create new time and parse specific format from our variable. On line 17, we can see original value from our t variable. On lines 19 and 21, we printed specific format from our new time. So you can see the difference, what we get from parsing our t variable to specific timestamp format. Beside parsing specific time and date to specific format, we have also built-in functions which we can use to get one specific part from our time or date. Let's see how that works. When we create new time with time and function new, we can also extend that function with function date. In that case, our new time won't give us format of our standard time. Instead of that, that function will give us 3 different variables, where in this case, first variable will be year of our time, second variable will be month of our time, and third variable will be day of our time. When we print our 3 variables, we can see values of them. We want to create new time, and from that time and from that new variable, we want to get each part of that time. Let's see how that works. From our variable t, we can call 7 different functions. Each function will give us specific part from our time. If our t variable calls year function, that variable will give us new variable with value year from our time. The same pattern works for all other functions. Let's now print our new variables so we can see each part. Now, when we print all our variables inside of our printf function, you will get output similar like this. Also, we can take specific day from our time by calling weekday function like this. In this case, our new variable will have value of the name of that specific day. Now we have covered all functions which we can use to get specific part from our specific time. Let's now see how we can measure differences between specific time and dates. For start, we will create new time. So now we want to know how we can measure differences between two times. For that purpose, we must use one specific function, and that function will be sleep function. In this case, we are accessing our time package and we are calling sleep function. In that function, we have only one value and we need to pass specific value based on some time units. We can use any constants from our time package. In this case, we use second. We will access our time package. We will call our second constant and we will multiply by 2 that constant. What does that mean? It means that we created artificial delay in which on that place we will waiting for 2 seconds and then after 2 seconds we will continue with our code. How we can measure that difference of 2 seconds? We will use function since, which is also part of our time package. We created a new variable elapsed by accessing our time package, then calling our since function, and then we pass only one value. That value, in this case, will be our start variable from our beginning when we start our main function. Now, when we print that new variable, we can see that the difference between those two moments is 2 seconds. Let's now see how we can measure our difference from one specific moment. We will create new time by parsing specific moment, like this. We created a new variable date1. In our parse function, we specified our format which we want to use, and then we specified value of specific time. When we print date1 variable, we can see the output. Now we want to create a new variable which will calculate difference between that moment and the moment when we created our start variable, like this. Our new variable duration is creating by calling our since function, and we passed our new variable date1 to that function. When we want to print value of duration variable, now you can see much larger difference between those two moments. We can do this also in another way. For this purpose, we also have subfunction, which specific variable can call to measure time, like this. In this case, we created a new variable duration2, but we didn't call our since function. Instead of that, we access our start variable, then that variable call subfunction, and then we are passing our date1 variable to that function. When we print value of duration2 variable, we can see that that value is exactly the same like value from duration of duration variable. Now we saw how we can measure differences between specific moments, and we learned how we can operate and create new times and new dates inside of our language. In the next video, we will talk about pointers, what are they and why they are so important for us.